Hello guys, welcome back to part 4 of creating procedural dungeon generators. In the previous part we have created the advanced spawning room logic, okay? And in this part, let me see what we need to do. So the first thing that we are going to do, we are basically going to close unused exits. So what I mean by that, let me just compile my code and launch my Unreal Engine in order to actually show you what is that thing that we need to do. Okay, so let's now launch Unreal Engine. Okay, so now if I begin my simulation, you will see that our dungeon is spawning correctly, and you will see these empty spaces that we need to fill with closing wall. Okay, so as you see, whenever we begin our simulation, we want to close these walls. Okay, so let's close our Unreal Engine. The next thing that we are going to do, we are going to basically create a stairs room that is connecting the first with the second floor, and the another thing that we are going to do, we are going to basically spawn the doors that are basically going to have a logic of opening and closing. Okay, so that's basically some of the things that we are going to do. So the first thing that we are going to do is go to our .header file of our dungeon generator class. We need here to declare a new function. That function will be for closing unused exits. So we are going to name something like that, close unused exits. Okay, you can give it some other name, but I'm going to leave it like this. And I'm going to create a definition for that one function. Okay, so basically the first thing that we are going to do, we need to loop throughout this exits array. Okay, so the array that we have declared, I think, right here. So don't worry, I'm going to explain in a moment why we are doing that. So we need to declare usim component, and that will be just an element. That element is going to represent the each element of our exits array. Okay, and now we are going to, from each element, we are going to get the location and the rotation, and in that specified location we are going to spawn something, or basically a closing wall, while we are looping throughout our exits array. Okay, so if you take a closer look here, you will see that we are removing already used exits point from this exits array, and we are basically just appending new ones, and it is just looping. So basically, let me just say it in an easier way. So the exits that we are using, we are removing from our exits array, but the exits that are not used, we are just basically leaving them to be inside this exits array. And now we need to do the next thing. We are just going to create a new variable. Okay. So that variable will be something like this starter room. Later, from the drop down menu, we are going to select the specified blueprint. We are just going to create another blueprint actor for those closing walls, and we are actually going to spawn a blueprint actor throughout C++. Okay, so let me just copy this and paste it. But before that, we need to actually create a new class. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like this for now. Let me just compile my code, and let's just launch our Unreal Engine. Okay, so now let's create a new C++ class for our closing wall. Okay, here right click, new C++ class. We are going to select an actor, okay, because we want to spawn it in a world. I'm going to name it something like closing wall. I think that that's pretty alright. You can name it something like closing wall base, or I don't know, anything that you want. I'm going to click on create class, and I need to wait a little bit. Okay, so live coding has succeeded. Let me just go into my Visual Studio, and now I need to click on reload all. So the things that actually we need to declare, I think, let me just take a look at my second project. Okay, so the only thing that we need to declare will be basically one static mesh component and okay, so this is a little bit boring. I'm going to delete those comments and I'm going to delete one public. I'm going to move this stick to be below the public, okay? And below this protected, I'm just going to type u property because we want to give a specifiers to our variables. I'm going to set it to be in components category, and I'm going to type u static mesh component, and then this asterisk right here. I'm going to name it something like closing wall. Okay, so now let me just see in my what we need to do in this .cpp file, and okay, so the thing that we need to do is basically we need to create a default sub-object for that closing wall. So let's do this right now. Create a default sub-object. The class of that component is uStatic mesh component, and we're just going to give it a name of closing wall. Okay, and now the one thing that we are going to do, we are just going to attach to set that closing wall to be actually the root component of our class. Okay, so here just type a root component. Okay, and I have showed you this before. I'm not going to explain what we are doing here. Okay, so now let me just close my Unreal Engine. Now I'm going again to compile my code and launch our Unreal Engine after that. Okay, so there is not any errors. So now let me just see if I basically create a blueprint based class from this closing wall class. So let me just see. I'm going to store it inside pdg underscore files. I'm going to name it bp underscore closing wall. So create closing wall class, and now I'm going to close this. If I just basically open my bp underscore closing wall, you will see that on the left side on the components we have this uStatic mesh component. Okay, and we are just going to create that wall that is going to close our unused exits inside our dungeon. Okay, so on the right side in the detailed panel for static mesh, I'm going to search for SM cube, and for the dungeon we are using material that is called the basic asset 02. So let's just select the same material in order to basically don't get behavior of overlapping two different materials. And by the way, you can adjust your own settings. I'm just showing you the main concept of this. I'm just going to do something like this. I actually don't know the exact options, but we are just going to fix that later. For now, I'm going to do something like this. Okay, and now I'm going to close my whole Unreal Engine, and I'm going to go back to my dungeon generator.header. Now here we can finally get a class of our closing wall, but before that we need to actually import that class. So by typing class and then a closing wall, and I'm going to name it something like closing wall. I don't know, maybe you can name it something like unused exits closing wall or something like that. I'm just going to name it like this. And now let me see in my other project what we need to do. And sorry about constantly looking at my other project, because there are a lot of things that I just need to basically see in order to know what I need to show you. Okay, and in which way. Sorry about again constantly looking at my other project, but the next thing that we are going to do, we are just going to compile our code and then launch our Unreal Engine. Okay, so here we are now. If I click on my dungeon generator, you will see that on the right side we have this closing wall drop down menu where we can choose our blueprint that is going to be spawned. It is not in the separate category, but we are going to set it in a moment. Okay, so now let's close our Unreal Engine. I'm going to set it to be in a category something like exit unused exits closing wall. Okay, I think that that's pretty alright. The next thing that we are going to do, we need basically to implement the logic for this close unused exits. So the first thing that we are going to do here is we need to declare a new variable that will be that exact spawn closing wall that we have spawned in our dungeon. Okay, so it will be a class of a closing wall, and before doing anything we need to include that class. Okay, so include closing wall.header. Okay, so we are going to call it something like latest closing wall spawn. Maybe not latest, but just closing wall spawn, but never mind. Okay, we need to get the world context, or basically the world where our character is. Here we are just going to get spawn actor, and the actor, we need a class of an actor that we are spawning that is basically a closing wall. And what we are going to spawn, we are going to spawn whatever we choose from the drop down list inside our editor. Okay, and now we are actually spawning that. So we are going to do one thing where we are going to avoid one of bugs that can happen. So the one thing that we are just going to do, we are going to orient our latest closing wall that is spawned in the direction of our exit arrow. Okay, so basically you get the point. And let's do that right now. We need to type f vector because we need a new variable that is a type of f vector. Okay, basically three float values. I'm going to name it something like a relative, I don't know, maybe offset. Okay, and now I'm just going to type here 0.0, 0.0 and 0.0f. Later we are going to adjust those settings, and now we're going to declare a new variable that will be basically a world offset. Okay, so we need to get for this each element. Okay, we need to basically get component rotation. Okay, so like I said, we are going to orient every wall to be like in the direction of our exit arrow. Okay, so here we just need to type rotate vector, and we are just going to pass in this relative offset. Okay, and the next thing that we need to do, we just need to set the location of our and rotation of our latest closing wall that is spawned. So we need to get this. Okay, we are just going to get the function set actor location. Okay, and now from this element we are just going to get the component. Okay, so what was that? Never mind. We are just going to get component rotation, and we need to add to that this world offset. Okay, in order to orient our in order to orient our latest closing wall that is spawned. And what is this actually? So what's wrong here? Let me just see. Okay, so rotation. Okay, so no rotation, but location. Okay, so and the next thing, we basically need to set the rotation. Okay, so set actor rotation. Now we're just going to delete this, and here we need to declare a new rotator. So we're just from this element, rotator is okay, so not that. Rotator is basically the same as this f vector 2D, but f vector 2D is for location, and f rotator is for rotation. Okay, so instead of x, y, and z value, rotator has pitch, jaw, and roll values. Okay, and now we from the element we need to get or actually. We don't need to do that, but we are just going to get from the element get component rotation. Okay, get component rotation, and now let's just compile our code, and basically let's launch our Unreal Engine after that. Okay, so here we are inside our Unreal Engine, and now if we begin my simulation, actually our walls are not going to be spawned. Why is that? Let me just see. Maybe I actually didn't call my close unused exits function. Okay, so the one specific thing that we are going to do, we're not just going to call it like this. Actually we are going to declare a new timer handle. And actually we are just going to spawn our closing walls for our unused exits after 1 second, okay, of our begin play, so after the beginning the simulation. For that we need to use timers, and for timer we need to basically declare a timer handle. I'm going to call it something like ftimer unused handle. Okay, and here I just need to type get world. I need to get timer manager. Okay, and from that we need a set timer function. Okay, and basically let me just see in my other project. Okay, so we need to pass in this unused handle timer handle. Okay, we need to type this, and now we need to specify a function that we are going to call. From this dungeon generator class, we need to get close unused exits. We are going to call that function after 1 second, and we are not going to loop that. Okay, so we are just going to call that once. So let me just save it. Let me go into my Unreal Engine. Let's compile our code throughout our live coding, because I don't want to again close my Unreal Engine and then compile our code and then launch it again. We're just going to do something like this. Okay, let's begin our simulation, and after 1 second, actually you will see that we are spawning our walls. They are not spawning like they need to be spawned, but yeah. Okay, so you see that for this exit our wall is spawned, for this also, but you see that they are not in the right rotation. Okay, so the thing that we need to do is here whenever we are setting the actor rotation, we need to this get component rotation, we need to add a new rotator that will be basically 0.0f 90. So we're going to we're just basically for the jaw we're just going to rotate it for 90 degrees. Okay, and now let's compile our code, and let's quickly launch our Unreal Engine. Okay, so now if I begin my simulation, where is my dungeon? You will see that actually now our walls are getting spawned correctly. So the one thing that we're going to do, we're just going to adjust size, because those walls are too big. Okay, so where's that wall? Okay, here it is. Let's open full blueprint editor, and let's do something like this. Okay, so that's really big for our walls. So something like this. I think that they are going to be Okay, so now I think they are pretty alright. Let me just do something like this, and now they're same height. Okay, so now I'm going to stop my simulation. Here I'm going to compile and save this. I'm going to again close my Unreal Engine, and basically here for the relative offset I'm going to for the X value I'm going to type -100. I think that -100 is actually going to be pretty alright, and let's see what we have did. Okay, so let's now launch our Unreal Engine. Okay, so now if I begin my simulation, you will see that. Okay, so what we are doing here, let me see what is. Okay, so the X direction is this direction right here, so that is not the correct direction, but I need to adjust the Y direction. So this is this right here. You see that we are actually moving our wall left and right. So let me again close my Unreal Engine, and for this relative offset, I'm going to, for the X, I'm going to set 0.0f, and for the Y, I'm going to type -100. And now I really hope that our closing wall is going to be spawned correctly. And now, finally, if I just take a closer look, okay, so we are moving it a little bit too much. So let me see. Okay, hey guys, for some reason my OBS didn't record how I manage my options for my closing walls. So basically the thing that I want to tell you is that you need to adjust your own settings for your closing walls. So basically the location and the size. Basically the one thing that I'm going to tell you is that I used for the Y value of my relative offset, I used -400. So yeah, you can test it out if you use the same options as mine. So basically now we can move on to the next thing. So the next thing that we need to basically do, we need to create a new room. That new room will be basically a stairs room, and basically that is a room that is going to connect first with the second floor. Okay, and we are going to make it to spawn other rooms on that stairs room. Okay, so like I said, we are going to have the second floor. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do, and I have accidentally closed my Unreal Engine, we need to create a new class for that new room. So I'm just going to launch my Unreal Engine, and inside that class we will have some of the components that we need to declare. Okay, so let me just go to my C++ class folder, and then this PDG folder. I'm going to declare a new C++ class. It is going to be an actor, and it will be just basically, or actually we are not going to create a new class, we're just going to create a C++ child class from this room base, because like I said, we have this room base parent class. Okay, and we are just going to create a CPP child class. I'm going to name it something like RB underscore dungeon stairs room 1. Okay, and let's just create that class. Okay, so we have succeeded with creating our class. Now if I go to my Visual Studio, you'll see that we have this message right here. I'm just going to click on actually reload all. So the first thing that we need to do is basically to declare constructor. Okay, so I have said that previously that the main difference between constructor and the begin play is that constructor is being initialized whenever our engine is compiled, and begin play is being initialized whenever we begin our simulation. So have that in mind. Okay, everything that we are going to do now, it is going to be inside our constructor. Okay, so even before beginning our simulation. That thing that we are going to declare and that thing that we are going to create, it needs to be initialized whenever we compile our engine. Okay, so no more talking. Let's do that right now. Okay, so like I said, we are going to declare a constructor, and that will be in this situation a RB underscore dungeon stairs room 1. Okay, and below that we need to declare some of the variables that are going to represent the components later inside the blueprint child base class from this RB underscore dungeon stairs room 1. Okay, so let me just tell you what are those components that we're going to need. Okay, so we're going to need 4 exit arrow components, okay, for our exit points. Okay, we will need one additional floor component, okay, for the second floor. Okay, we will need 8 wall components. Okay, so in order to create the walls on the second floor, and we will need 3 components for a closing wall. Okay, so for the closing wall on the first floor, and we will need the very last one component, and that will be for our stairs. Okay, so let's declare them right now. The first one, so each of them will have the specifiers that are going to be visible anywhere, and the category. We are going to store them inside components category. Like I said, we will need arrow components. Okay, so U arrow component, exit arrow 1. Okay, so we will need 4 of them. So let me just copy and paste them. So something like this. Okay, we will need 1 component for, and let me just copy those specifiers. We will need 1 component that will be U static mesh component for the floor. So that will be floor underscore 2. So component that will represent the floor for the second floor. Okay. The next thing that we need, and we're just going to copy this. We will need basically walls for our second floor. Okay, so we will need to create the walls for our second floor. So let's name them something like second floor underscore wall underscore 1. Okay, and we need 8 of them. So we are going just to copy and paste it 7 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so wall 2, okay, wall 3, wall 4, wall 5, wall 6, wall 7, and wall 8. And we are going to need 3 closing wall components. So we're just going to copy this and paste it. We are going to rename it to be closing underscore wall underscore 1, and we are just going to copy and paste it 2 more times. Okay, so closing wall 2, closing wall 3, and by the way, I'm doing this in my way. You can do this in some other way, and you can create it to be differently than mine. Okay, so that's on you. I'm just showing you the concept, how I'm going to do that, but you can be creative and do something different. Okay, and we will need the very last one component that will be basically that will represent our stairs to the second floor. And I think that we have actually did all the work, but actually we need to put it below the protected. So don't forget that we need to declare them below the protected. Now the next thing that we need to do is to create a definition for that constructor that we have declared previously. And the first thing we need to do is to create a default sub-object for all of these components. Okay, so let's start with exit arrows. Exit arrow 1 equals create default sub object. It is a class of u arrow component, okay, and we are just going to name it something like okay, so it will be actually the same like this, exit underscore arrow underscore 1. Okay, so let's copy and paste it 3 more times. Okay, and by the way, don't worry about this, you will see later what we have did, and it is not actually a complicated thing, so don't worry about that. It will basically get clear to you very soon. So basically just focus on this part right here, and don't worry, you will understand everything that we are doing now. Okay, so let me just rename them to be like this. Now we need to create a default sub-object for these second floor walls. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and paste it. I'm going to copy this, and instead of exit arrow, I'm going to put in second f underscore wall underscore 1. Okay, and what's actually this? We need to change a class, and that will be u static mesh component. Okay, and the red line will disappear. We need to paste it, copy and paste it 7 more times. Okay, so let me just rename them now. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We need to rename them also right here. So 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We need now to create a default sub-object for these closing walls. Okay, so let me just let me just copy this and paste it. We will get this. Basically the class for this component is the same, use static mesh component, and we need to copy and paste it 2 more times. So 2 more times. Okay, so closing wall 2 and closing wall 3, we need to rename them also right here, and we now have this last component that is the stairs. So stairs, we need to create default sub-object for that component also, and we are just going to name it stairs. The next thing that we are going to do now, we need to attach those components in the place where they need to be attached. Okay, so these 4 exit arrow components we need to attach inside the exit points folder. Okay, so we need to basically get a function that is called setup attachment, but we are not getting any suggestions for that arrow component. We need to include from the components folder. From the components folder, we need to include arrow component, and now we are going to be able to get that setup attachment function. Okay, and we are going to attach it to exit points folder. Okay, so like I said, we're using that exit points folder that we have created inside the parent class. We are using that exit points folder for our exit arrow points. Okay, now we need to do for the rest of our exit arrows. Okay, now we need to basically, so actually I forgot something, and that is to create a default sub-object for this floor 2 component. Okay, so yeah, I didn't create that, so I'm just going to copy and paste that. I'm just going to do something like this. Okay, we just need this use static mesh component class. We are going to attach that component to be inside the geometry folder. So setup attachment. Okay, we need to search for geometry folder. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is to attach those second floor walls to also geometry folder. Okay, so set up attachment. Okay, so we need to attach them to the geometry folder. I'm going to copy and paste it 7 more times. Okay, so basically 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now we need to attach those closing wall components to also geometry folder. Set up attachment. Okay, so geometry folder. We need to do that for the rest of our closing walls. Okay, so closing wall 2 and closing wall 3. And now we need to do that for our last component, that is basically stairs. So stairs, we need to attach that. Okay, so not that, we need to attach that to geometry folder. Okay, so geometry folder. And now basically if I save it, okay, and basically if I compile my code, not that, but Control Shift B, let's see if there's any errors. Okay, so there is not now. Let's launch our Unreal Engine, because I want to show you what we have did now, and let's finally create that look for our dungeon stairs room. Okay, now we are in our Unreal Engine, and basically if I now create a blueprint based class from this RB_dungeon stairs room 1, we're going to store it inside the bdg_files folder, and I'm going to name it bp_dungeon stairs room 1, then create it, and then you will see that we have all of these components that we can fill up, but you will see that we now need to do everything from the scratch. So we are basically going to delete that BP, or basically blueprint actor. We are going to basically create or duplicate this BP_dungeon room 1, and we are going to rename it to be BP_dungeon stairs room 1. Okay, and the only thing that we're going to do is basically go to class settings, and here we need to search for RB dungeon stairs room 1. Okay, and we're just going to reparent it. Okay, so now on the left side you will see that we now have all the additional components that we're going to fill up. Okay, so yeah, that's a great thing. Now we can finally start with creating a look for our dungeon stairs room. Okay, so basically let me see what we are going to do here. For this floor _2, we are just going to search for sm_cube, and let's compile it. Let's basically set material to be basic asset 02. And we are going to select this basic floor. Okay, and we are going to copy basically those scale values, and we are going to paste for our floor 2. Okay, so like I said, we are going to basically create a room that is connecting the first with the second floor. Okay, so the thing that we now need to do is to basically select also these exit arrows. So now we need to, I'm going to move them up. Okay, so something like this. I think that this is pretty alright. Yeah, basically this is pretty alright. So this exits point, but we need another exit arrow right here. Okay, so whenever we spawn a room, we're now going to spawn other rooms right here. So on the all of these 4 sides. Okay, so was that the last arrow that we needed to adjust? Okay, so we need to increase an arrow size to be 3. We need to get this color. Okay, so we need to get this hex linear, and we need to paste right here. We're just going to rotate it. Okay, so something like this. We are going to get basically the location of this arrow right here, and I'm going to paste it to be like this, but I'm just going to move it on this side right here. So okay, so that's pretty alright. So that's the reason why we have declared 4 of those exit arrows. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is basically close all of these 3 exits. Okay, so we're just going to use this as an entry of our room, and those 3 are going to be unused exits, so we're just going to fill them. Okay, so let me just get this closing wall. I'm going to basically copy the scale values of one of these walls, and I'm going to click on one of these closing walls. I'm going to search for SM cube, and I'm going to search for basic asset 02. So I'm going to paste basically scale values. Okay, and I'm actually, for the X value, I'm going to increase it to be 8, and I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to copy those scale values. For the second closing wall, for the static mesh, I'm going to search for SM underscore cube. I'm going to compile and search for basic asset 02 material, and I'm going to paste the scale values to be something like this. And now I'm just going to rotate it. I'm going to fill this hole right here. So that's pretty alright, and the last closing wall will be for the last empty exit. Okay, so this unused exit actually. I'm going to paste scale values. I'm going to compile. I'm going to search for basic asset 02 material. Okay. Let me just do something like this, and I'm going to move it right there. The next thing that we are going to do, we are basically going to create a walls for our second floor. Okay. And basically I have showed you what is the concept of this room. Now I'm going to skip the process of basically adjusting those walls, and basically set the good location for those walls. So I'm going to cut the video, and basically I'm going to skip that part with those wall things. Okay, so see you when it's done. Okay guys, so I have finished my room that I wanted. So this is the final look, and I'm going to tell you in a moment what are changes that I have made. So like I said, I'm going to I cut the video, and I have basically set up those walls in the right place. The next thing that I have did is I have moved up this arrow. So okay, so this is basically the arrow that is showing the X direction of our room. The next thing that I have did, I have basically for this stairs component, I have added this SM cube, and I have basically adjusted the position and the size like this. So basically imagine that this is some kind of stairs that are to the second floor. Okay, and basically you can import some other static mesh that you want. Okay, and basically those are changes that I have made. And another last thing that I want to do with you is basically we need to for this box collision component, we need to increase a size of that box collision component, and we need to do something like this. Okay, so let's actually decrease it a little bit, and we need to do something like this. Okay, so let me just see. Okay, so we are going to do something like this, because we do not want to spawn some other room on the top of this one. Okay, so we need a box collision that will be triggered if some other room is spawned on this second floor room. Okay, so now I think that finally we can test it out. So you can basically pause this video and make the room that you want. So for now I have finished this first version of our dungeon stairs room. Okay, so let's now compile and save it. And here for this I'm going to click on my BP_dungeon room, and I'm actually going to add my dungeon stairs room 1 inside this array. Okay, so now let's finally test it out. Let's see what we have did. Okay, and actually our room hasn't spawned. Okay, so what's actually this? Why our dungeon stairs room is not spawning? Okay, okay, so basically I have selected my RB_dungeon stairs room, but we need to click on BP_dungeon stairs room 1. Okay, so if I basically begin my simulation, okay, still we're not getting anything. Or actually we have. Okay, so yeah, if you take a closer look, you will see that our room has spawned. Okay, so our dungeon stairs room 1 has spawned, and basically that's a great sign. Okay, so we have actually created a room that is connecting the first with the second floor, and you will see that actually other rooms are getting attached to that dungeon stairs room 1. Okay, and yeah, actually try to imagine this cube as stairs. Okay, so some kind of stairs. Okay, and basically guys, I think that will be it for this part. I will left out some things that I have said that we are going to do for this part, because I think that we are long enough into this part. We are going to do those things that I left out in the next part. Okay, so those things are like doors that are going to be in the every entry of a new room. Okay, also we are going to create an elevator room that is basically the same as this stairs room, but it is going to have an elevator with an overlap logic that is basically that is going to have its own functionality. And also another thing that we are going to do, or basically that we are going to implement in this system, will be basically the seed system. Okay, so you will have on the right side in the details panel, you will be able to basically write your own seed, and you will basically have on that seed you will have that specified the dungeon. Okay, and basically if you type or write -1, you will actually get the random seed every time when you start simulation. And basically those are some of the things that we are going to implement in the next part. Sorry about leaving out those things, don't worry, the next part is coming out very fast, very soon after this part, so don't worry about that. You are not going to wait too long. Okay, so the one thing that I have to say, if anything is unclear, please guys feel free to reach to us now throughout our Discord server. The link is down below this video in the description. Or you can basically reach to us throughout the comments, and we are just going to help you if basically anything is unclear. So don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next part.